Hi, I'm Chef Joe with Outdoor Solutions, and on this week's Smart Tips and Tricks, we're going to break down this deer from skinning it all the way down, quartering it, and cutting it up for the freezer. All right, so some of this stuff is a lot easier to do when it's on the ground or not hanging above your head. Obviously, we'll hang this one from the back legs, so these will be closer to the ground. The reason I do this now is as I start skinning this animal off and I'm getting the hide off, I don't have to fight and worry about these and getting loose hair back onto my meat. So when you're doing these elbows, you're going to come just down below the kneecap and you're going to just make a slice on that. Do a quick snap. Finish cutting your tendons and we're good to go. So on these back legs, on a doe, it's not so much important, but if you've got a good buck and he's been rutting a bit, these glands right here are scent glands. They have an oil sac and they can really permeate the meat and sour it, and so you don't want that. So your tendon is right here where we're going to be hanging this animal, so you want to cut below that to preserve that tendon so you have something to hang on. So if you come just down below, again, you're just going to cut right on the tendon. You can see that the leg just relaxed, and you're going to do the same thing. There we go. And again, the reason I'm doing this is when this animal's hanging up here, I don't want to be working on this and having all this loose hair come down. And there we go. So now we've got our tendon still intact. If you hadn't already, you're just going to punch your knife down through there and cut that so you have a place to put your gimbal. So now we've got this all set up to hang it. Sometimes it's easier on the ground too to just do a pre-cut on these legs, and you're just using the tip of your knife and you're just kind of peeling up and getting this loose. So and now we're going to hang this deer, and then we're going to start skinning it out. So, all right, so I'm going to get a couple of young bucks to help me hang this, and we'll proceed on with that. So now that we've got our deer hung up, we're going to start getting the hide off of this. And so we're going to work our way up to the hock up there, the top. And we're just going to use the tip of our knife. You're just doing little cuts, little slices, and you're controlling your blade. And so you're just coming down. And once you get past the rump on it, you can fold this hide down, and so the hair is not even going to be near it. But as you do that, you're just taking slices. I have a preference to hold my knife by the blade with the fingertip on it. I have more control of it. And again, I'm just using the tip of the blade to do this. If you have two guys skinning, make sure you know where their hands are, and they talk and communicate with your partners on where you're cutting and what you're cutting, and try to keep at the same pace. But there's going to be times where two knives is too many, and so as you can see when you're coming around here, everything's starting to just kind of fall back and peel downhill. So you want to use gravity as well as your blade to pull this hide. And you can actually start peeling it as you get lower down on it. And on the back side here, you can see where you have your long hairs and you transition from the white to that, it's kind of a seam you want to use with your knife. So that it helps fold that up, and then you're just going to work your blade up through there, and then you can start peeling this hide off of here. You're making a cleaner slice, and you're not dulling your knife on the hair. So a couple of reasons you want to get this hide off is it's going to help cool the meat out. And this one was shot last evening, and it's been hanging overnight, so it's cooled out pretty good. And as we get down to this tail part, we're actually going to leave the tail attached to the hide. And you'll see this bone socket here. And you just make a cut into that, and you'll break that bone just like that, and then you can peel it right off. You can use your knife just to kind of cut that tension, and just start tugging on the hide as you're pulling it down, and it'll come loose. Environment will tell you how fast you need to get that hide off, or whether you leave it on or not. There's a lot of debate and stuff on how and when to do that. My preference is always to get the hide off fast, because the weather doesn't always allow me to leave that on like that. So now, we made these little pre-cuts earlier, so we're just going to continue to follow that up into the armpit of the deer here. As this deer ages, it's going to crust, and it's going to form a nice dry crust on it, and that you can just wipe off those hairs in that. If the deer were wet and stuff like that, you want to get it into a little more ventilation area, but for this it's pretty good, and it's pretty cold out. So the other thing we do when we're skinning this animal out is we're looking at that condition of the body. This doe was shot in the neck, so we don't have any shot that we have to worry about right now, or any of that. But you want to keep your eye out for that. And also, this gives you a great opportunity to look at the meat, see if there's any prior injuries. We've had elk with stuff with a broadhead in them, so you want to be careful and examine as you're peeling down like that. Look for any other bruisings or anything that you might want to concern. When we gut the animals, it's always a choice of whether you're keeping your liver or not, but it's a good indicator of the health of the animal. Kind of a pinkish and solid red. There's not going to be any spots in it or any blood spots or anything. So the lungs are another good one. You want nice, good lungs. All right, so now we've got these legs all free. If you nick yourself while you're skinning this animal out, get your hands cleaned and washed and stuff, because you can really get blood poisoning from the game animals when if you have an open wound. So now you can see where we're getting into where this animal was shot, and you can start seeing where we're getting bloodshot and bruising and the kinetic energy that took this animal out. So if this shot was up in here, we'd be looking at a lot of bloodshot and a lot of bruising that you can see where the kinetic impact of that bullet hit and splattered out throughout. So you would want to be addressing this and looking at how we're going to cut and clean this out. And so right now we've got that down. So we're going to go ahead and remove the head and the rest of the hide from this. So you're just going to cut to the bone. If you have a saw, you're just going to cut through that neck bone and you're done. If you don't have a saw, you can twist, break the neck, and continue cutting with your knife. All right. So that's all there is really to skinning the deer out. You know, we'll be cleaning off this little hair, and like I said, the meat's going to cure and crust up, and it'll be easier to get this hair off. At this point, there's a couple of things we're going to do to the carcass before we start quartering, cutting it up to get it towards the freezer.